we're just going to do a bit of a recap today of the Australian Open so far. We might miss a few stories, but just a bit of an update for you guys at home on our opinions and hopefully informing you on what's going on at the Australian Open. And stick around for an interesting story regarding the Australian Open and the ticketing and potential surveillance concerns towards the end of the video. First up, Novak Djokovic. He's been kind of out of form, but he's through to the third round of the Australian Open, beating Faria from Portugal, and that was, of course, before beating the American youngster in the first round. Two good matches from Djokovic, not in terms of the quality from his level, but a good way to get into the tournament, and hopefully he can bring his best tennis against Thomas Mahach.
I think I'm one of the haters at the moment. I'm a big Djokovic fan, but I'm not. I'm a little bit concerned as to the way he's playing. In my eyes, it's a little bit too passive and a little bit of trying too hard to play well. Like, I think he actually wants it more this year compared to last, barring obviously the Olympics, where he played, in my eyes, the best tennis he's played probably this decade. However, his performances against Basavaredi and the Portuguese youngster, Faria today, didn't fill me with much hope, especially with the draw that's to come. I think he's trying. He's there mentally. It's just more so, and also physically, but it's also just, I think, letting that arm go a bit more. But hopefully it's a slow burn like he normally does to get to that right level at the right time.
He was quite upset at certain moments during this match, actually screaming when he was winning up a set and a break. But in the end, he found his way to the finish line.
I think that actually proves my point. He realizes he's not at the level yet, and he has to get to the level much quicker, perhaps, than other tournaments in the past. Noting that his draw, with the third round,
it's a very tricky
coming up, against Thomas, and then Lehechka, the power game, which I'll discuss later on in this video. It's coming to fruition.
It's concerning, but I still back Novak. An interesting joke was made after the match in the post-game interview. Medvedev won in 5 sets yesterday, and he pretty much talked about his young opponent, who played pretty well, saying if he keeps playing well, he'll get all the good things: money, girls, casino. And he repeated the same sentence as a joke regarding his opponent today, Faria. And the same thing goes. These young players are up and coming, and they can play well, but they need to keep it up if they want money, girls, and casinos. All right, and of course today by Djokovic, when he stepped onto the court and played, he broke the record for the most ever Grand Slam singles matches played in the Open era. That is for either men or women, I'm pretty sure, in the Open era. And well done to Djokovic. 430 matches, overtakes Federer with 429. And I'm sure he might even reach upwards of 500. Is that a bit of a stretch, perhaps? But I think there's a lot more of Grand Slam matches to be played.
70 matches, eh?
He said actually in a bit of an ATP video today, watch out, kids, I'm looking to play for the next several years, causing problems for you guys, the next gen, the next gen. Moving on again, Carlos Alcaraz, he has been the standout player so far of the Australian Open on the men's side. And is he a serve bot? Is he a serve bot? He's serving amazingly. New technique or an adjustment to the technique?
Honestly, I think Zverev's been the standout in my eyes, just to take a bit of gloss off Alcaraz. That second set against Shevchenko was a bit of It can show what can happen to Alcaraz. He can turn off for a second, but he did turn off at the right time, winning those 4 games in a row to take that set 7-5. Is he a bit of a serve bot? He's a big boy. He's a big boy. And to be fair, a lot of players are becoming serve bots. But I think that's unfair to call him a serve bot when he's got the all-round game.
I think you're misinformed on the topic. We'll get to that in a moment.
Why are we asking our viewers such stupid questions then?
Very, very powerful game. And may I say, perhaps a bit hard done by not playing on Rod Laver Arena so far into the tournament. But my friend, this was in reference to him asking the camera or the fans after the game on the camera signing, am I a serve bot?
Oh.
So I don't know if you find that funny, but that will inform you. And perhaps you can come into the videos a bit more informed into the future. Moving on, we got Joao Fonseca. That's how you pronounce it in Brazilian Portuguese. Joao Fonseca. And Oz Open, you spelt his surname wrong. It is Fonseca, not Fonseca. You're messing me up there.
Do you work for the Australian Open?
It is poor from your Oz Open social media team. Very poor. Pretty much Joao Fonseca, still getting his name right. I saw him it's easy to say now because there's no proof of this, but I saw him in the qualifying and I was like, this guy can go far in the main draw. We all know about him. He won the Next Gen Finals. He even beat Arthur Fils in Rio last year in his home tournament. But pretty much what an upset, or maybe not an upset, against Rublev. So powerful from the back of the court, Just very silky player, good movement.
Solid. Just solid, holds his position in the court, never looks like he's out of position. As an 18-year-old, is very impressive.
And he actually said that Roger Federer is his idol. Cool, good for you. Is that a Rolex sponsorship he already has now? Maybe, good for him. But Novak Djokovic also says that he is already a fan of Fonseca's game and actually sees some of his own game in Wales. I won't get into everything he said, but he's pretty much saying it's great for Brazil to have an up-and-coming, actually, Grand Slam contending player. First one since Guga Curtin, and very solid player. He's talked to him actually once only, but he's able to showcase his skills on the world stage, which is great for tennis and great for Brazilian tennis specifically.
Hopefully his career doesn't flame out like another Brazilian junior great, Thomas Bellucci.
Yeah, and just recently, Jack Draper beat Kokkinakis to the upset of the rowdy Aussie crowd. Just a bit of a mention because Jack Draper, if he goes on to win his next round match, will likely face Carlos Alcaraz. So a bit of a popcorn match in the fourth round there.
Great mentality. I was very impressed with his backhand. It's a bit of a spear, like very flat, and especially that punch coming to the net following that backhand, it was very impressive, and I think that was the difference a bit. Kokkinakis played well, especially in that second and third set. However, he sort of just gave up in a weird way, especially when he was serving for it in the fourth set.
I think he's been suffering from that shoulder injury and he's almost lost the will to play to a certain point, even though he had a great chance to reach the third round.
It'll be interesting to see Jack Draper, hopefully, if he does make it, in that fourth round potential clash with the serve bot, Carlos Alcaraz. Hey, football stars, is your kid holding you back? Time for an upgrade. Soccer Artos, introducing the ultimate football kit. It's sleek, it's bold, and it will make you look like a pro, all without breaking the bank. Crafted with high-quality, moisture-wicking fabric, you'll stay cool while crushing it on the field. And guess what? It's affordable too. Use the code SPORT for 10% off. Grab yours now and dominate the pitch in style. Gear up, play hard, look fly without the hefty price tag.
And here we go, Tsitsipas. This is what you want to talk about. But Doza just quickly gave a bit of a shout out to her boyfriend Stefanos, saying that he's having a rough time at the moment tennis-wise, but he will come back.
I think Badoza won 48 minutes against a Western Australian 20-year-old. They say it's a good experience to lose 6-1, 6-0. I'm not sure that that's the case most times, unless your name's Novak Djokovic against Marat Safin in 2005. However, I just wanted to make a quick statement as to Tsitsipas in his press conference following his loss to another serve bot, Mickelson from America. I think he's 20 years old as well, isn't he? He said the game has shifted more towards a physical game, so the margins become smaller, meaning that you're not getting as many free points. And he also talked about how power has been taking over tennis, especially in the last year or two, and that can be seen through the juniors that have come through, especially within this tournament. Mensik, Fonseca, Sinner, of course, Alcaraz, of course, and I feel like I'm forgetting a few.
Zverdov's actually, since his ankle injury, has made his game more aggressive.
And I see it, and like even if you go back to...
Medvedev has been struggling with a lack of serve and lack of power.
And I think Medvedev made a similar statement as well, how the game has just become more powerful. And I think when you look back even through Djokovic's prime years, it was the power game that he struggled with. Wawrinka, even Team, sometimes with that like one-hand backhand on the clay court, it gets to it. And I think we're seeing a slow change to the game, similar to how threes have taken over basketball worldwide. Maybe it's a power game now.
Perhaps, but there's always room for great movement and agility.
There's only so much sometimes that can do when someone's hitting 180
always
kilometers
a hybrid.
Forehand for a winner.
Alcaraz is the hybrid player. You got the movement alongside the power. We'll see how that develops over the coming years. Just quickly on the women's side, we normally don't talk too much about WTA on the women's side of tennis. Naomi Osaka deserves a shout out for actually bringing her level back to somewhere where we can actually recognize her level of play. And well done to Naomi, and we'll see how far she goes at this tournament. Of course, she has won this tournament twice before. And just quickly to finish off, we have a video here from the project. I won't play it, but I'll leave a link in the description down below. Pretty much a bit of a video detailing how the Australian Open this year is using facial recognition on their patrons, the people who are coming to watch the tennis. And they left a statement, the Australian Open or Tennis Australia, saying, "We take our privacy obligations seriously. As part of the implementation of facial recognition technology, we conducted a thorough privacy impact assessment to ensure compliance with all relevant legislation and best practice." So what does that mean? We don't know. We don't know what's going on with the actual facial recognition data. Is it being sold to someone else? Likely not. But it is quite concerning to have this level of surveillance. Of course, we want to make sure that the tournament goes on safely without any hiccups or any safety concerns, but it draws a bit of an unnecessary cloud on the tennis tournament that is the Australian Open. So that's about it. We'll keep regular updates ongoing for the Australian Open and perhaps even some exclusive AO content from Melbourne itself.
Any predictions in the next 2-3 days?
I do think that Djokovic's level will improve. No bold predictions. I do think we will see that Alcaraz Djokovic quarterfinal. Sinner, don't see him losing before the final at the very earliest.
Will we see any upsets in the top 10 players, either on the men and women's side? We've already seen Kaspar lose, which again, I would have put all my money on.
Maybe Fritz could lose. I haven't really looked at his draw,
Fritz is playing well. I don't think he'll lose before the quarterfinals. I think one prediction for me is that one of the top 5 players, I think Sinner might struggle against Tristan Skulkate, and it might go to 4. I think he might lose a set, and he might even go to a 5th set. Just some random prediction.
We'll see. But let us know who you think will win the Australian Open on both sides, and until next time.